Ba-da-ba-bum, ba-da-ba-bum. I got him, you got him, we got him. Comic issues, yeah!
Hey guys, welcome to Comic Issues episode 35, the show where you pick the comic that we read and it's kind of a mystery. So the way it works is here's a list of all the comics. So there's the letter on the left is the box, the number on the right is how many comics are in that box. And then the numbers in the parentheses are the numbers that have already been taken. So what you do is you comment down below, you pick a letter, and you pick a number that's less than the number on the right. And we go through and pull that comic out of the box, and we do a read through and a review, and hopefully that makes you want to read more of the comic and see the series and learn about comics that you haven't seen before. So I just got back from vacation or holiday, as some people say, and I did the reveal for who won, and I guess some people got mad or something. I think I lost like 16 viewers or 16 subs in the past week from that. So I haven't met my goal of 125 yet. So if you know anybody that wants to sub up, please do that. Yeah. But I went down to the beach, and there was this little old lady at the farmer's market. 91 years old, guys, and she's still doing art. I think she's a doctor. I'm not sure. She was selling sketches and paintings for $10. So how could I not buy a couple? So let me show you what I got here. So I'll show you that one in a second. That one's the best one. So we got this one, and these are all from scapes down on the island. So it's kind of hard to see this one. It's kind of like a a really bright. I like the contrast of this one. So it's like the sea dunes, and then we have the ocean there, and it's kind of washed out, and I like that. Here's the fence around the dunes, and this is Tybee Island, and that's entitled 11th Street on Tybee Island. And here's the one I really like. So this is her, a drawing that she's done of her when she was 10 years old drawing. She's got this little dog here, and it just looks it's a really cool painting or picture. And this one's called The Artist at 10 Years at the Art Table of Cherry. So yeah, pretty cool picture. Anyways, yeah, I've been working on getting the box together for Jerry. I think he's really going to dig it. It's going to take a little bit longer. Still trying to source some stuff for it, so it's going to be a primo box, though, I think. So, yeah, be on the lookout, Jerry. And I'm not going to show anything that's going to be in that box, just in case he wants to do a video on it. If he doesn't do a video on it, I guess I could tell you what came in it, but I think he'll probably do a video on it. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But let's spin the wheel. We got 5 numbers this week, and yeah, thanks for doing that, by the way. I really appreciate it. Some newcomers, so that's really appreciated too. So let's spin this thing, and here we go. 3, 2, 1, spin it. Let's see what we get, guys. See what we get. A53 gets it. A53. I think that was maybe Jerry the Jitterbug won that one. A first come first serve person there. So thanks, Jerry. Appreciate that. Let's get the comic out and see what it is, guys. Hey guys, we're back. We got A53 here in the envelope. So without further ado, let's pull this thing out and see what it is. 3, 2, 1. Oh, American Gods. A little Neil Gaiman. So this is American Gods number 9. I think this is a David Mack cover. Yeah, David Mack cover. He does a lot of that kabuki stuff. Almost always watercolor. A lot of negative or open space. This one doesn't have too much open space in it, but he usually does a lot of open space. I like David Mack. He's I think he just does a lot of good cover work, and I don't know how he does it, but it's just real good. So I think this is the issue with Bastet, of course. So we'll crack it open and get into it, guys. You're gonna like this one, I do believe. Alright guys, got the comic read. I've read this before. I've read the book. This is going to be a very hard one for me to condense down, because I could talk about Neil Gaiman for days, and how much I love his writing and all of his stories and the comics that he does. It's just so good, and I love this series. Man, so good. So the art in this thing, it can be beautiful at times and it can be rough at times, and sometimes it's both at the same time. It's just really, really cool how he did this thing. So it was written obviously by Neil Gaiman. He's done Sandman, Books of Magic, Neverwhere, 1602, Eternals, 830 some odd comics, and still going. I think his one right now is Norse mythology is what he's doing right now. So there's the Neil Gaiman library is what he does, like the Mark Millar world. Anyways, P. Craig Russell did the art for this, and he's done Marvel Comics Presents, Spectre, Wonder Woman, and 500 something other issues. So he's a pretty prolific artist, pretty prolific writer here. So what don't you like? So I was on the fence about giving you backstory about this because I don't want to give the whole thing away. But man, it's so much cool stuff that happens, and this is number 9. So these are split up into kind of like mini series. So the first 9 issues was called Shadow, and then I think it was either My Angel or Into the Storm. So there's been 3 series so far, and I think they're working on the 3rd one right now. So there's probably 9, 18, so 27 issues, almost, something like that. But I definitely recommend you picking them up. If you don't want to read the book, this is a very good representation of the book. Neil Gaiman wrote the book. He wrote the comic, so he's done everything to make this thing what he thinks it should be. And the artist has done a fantastic job too. So there might be some spoilers in here for those of you trying to watch the show. That's on HBO Max or Showtime or something like that. Anyways, the show, it's okay. I do like who plays Wednesday in that show, but okay. Let's get into the thing. I told you it's going to be hard. Anyways, so we start and this lady has died, right? So I already have to give you a little backstory because I know what's going on here. So we have Shadow here. He's our main character. He just got out of prison for doing a stint where he took the rap for somebody else, and which is Dane Cook in the TV show. So anyways, while he was in jail, his girlfriend hooked up with that guy. They ended up both dying. His girlfriend died, blah blah blah. So anyways, Shadow is trying to go back home and give her a funeral and stuff, and on a plane he meets a guy named Wednesday, and Wednesday said he needs a bodyguard, so he wants to hire Shadow because he's a big dude. So they go on the road together and some stuff happens, and eventually they get to this town and Wednesday has to leave him for a while because he needs to go take care of some business. So that's where we're at now. We're in this town. He's left him with 2 of his friends, Ibis and Jaquel. So they run a mortuary. So let's get into it. A lady has died. We see Jaquel here talking to an old man, and Shadow is opening up the hearse. So they go in, they zip the body, zip her up, this old lady. They take her to the hearse, and Shadow and Jaquel get in, and they start to take her down to start the the process after you pass. And Shadow ends up asking him, "Hey, do you believe in the soul?" And Jackal says, "We used to have this all figured out. Many years ago we had this figured out. All you did was you lined up and you died. If your evil deeds outweighed a feather, then we'd feed your soul to Amet, the feeder of souls, or the eater of souls." And that was pretty much it. So if you outweighed it, if your heart outweighed that feather, you were full of sin. So you went to, you got eaten, and you couldn't go to the afterlife. So right there, we're talking about. Well, maybe you don't know, but Jaquel is you can get there, Jackal, right? So this guy is Anubis, right? So you got Anubis here, and you got Ibis. So they're working together. So here's a little telling about why this is called American Gods, and it's the gods that came over and bred bleeded into America from other places. So that's what we're talking about here. So, and so they're driving, and they're on their way back to the funeral home, and he says, Jack L is still saying, you know, me and Ibis are going to be out of business soon, because every year things get leaner and leaner. And he's talking about Horus here, which is another, you know, Egyptian god. And he says he spends his days just eating roadkill, because they're not given, he's not being, what do you call it? He's not being honored by people anymore, or worshipped. And if gods are not worshipped, they kind of disintegrate, right? So gods can never die, but they can go away, because eventually somebody might discover the god again and bring him back or her back by believing in them. So they're saying, you know, their ways pretty much here are saying that they won't be around for long because people are stopping believing in them, right? So they get back, they put the body downstairs into the morgue, and Jack L is like, you know, you could have put her on a stretcher. And Shadow Moon's his name. Shadow is he's like, nah, you know, it doesn't bother me to carry her. I'm a pretty big guy, but it hasn't always been that way. So we do a little flashback here. I think every comic has to have a flashback, it seems. And we're talking about Shadow as a kid. He's a real small fellow, and they moved around a lot because his mom was in the military, and she gets sick and she can't really take care of him much anymore, so she just has to move around and do temp jobs here and there. So everywhere that Shadow went, he didn't have any friends, and he ends up being in this school, and he starts getting picked on. And then the summer comes, and he turns 13, and he hits this huge growth spurt, and he just gets bigger than everybody, and he goes back to school, and those same kids try to fight him, and they put it this way, they didn't win. So he beats the crap out of them. Now all the little nerdy kids are loving him, and not only that, Laura sees him. So Laura's the lady I was telling you about that was waiting on him to get out of jail, that, you know, slept with his best friend, blah blah blah, died in a car wreck. So that's Laura. She calls him puppy. That's the worst thing I hate about this whole thing, is how many times she calls him puppy. Just gets on my nerves. So go back. They're at the kitchen table. They're eating. They've gotten him KFC and some beers, I think. And Ibis explains he's not a meat eater, and Jack L gets all the meat he needs while doing the work. So he actually eats the body parts as he's pulling them out. And so night comes. Shadow gets some pajamas on, goes up to bed, and here we see this little cat at the foot of his bed. And you can guess, you know, this being Egyptian and stuff, this is Bast. So, you know, he falls asleep, and, you know, she turns into a woman, and they start, you know, getting it on. And for like 3 pages, it's just them getting it on, how much enjoyment that Shadow and her is having. And then, you know, it ends, and there's this huge light, and Shadow just wakes up. It's early in the morning, and there's a snowfall that it's came, and he gets up out of the bed. He's naked. He's like, I thought I put some pajamas on, but I guess not. So he walks up in front of the mirror, and he notices that all the bruises and you know, injuries that he's gotten from a couple fights that he's had are gone. And those fights are, so Mr. Stone and Mr. Wood, they're like kind of like FBI agents, right? So they work for technology, would you say? And so there's a war going on between technology and the gods. So that's what's happening here. Wednesday's trying to get gods on his side. Technology's trying to transfer gods over to technology, and one of them's going to win. So Mr. Wood and Mr. Stone were there trying to defeat Shadow, and Mad Sweeney is a guy, actually a leprechaun that we'll see later on, that fights Shadow in a bar. Actually, right here we're going to see Mad Sweeney. So Shadow gets dressed, walks outside, and goes for a walk. And then underneath a bridge, he sees a figure standing there, a really tall guy with bright red hair. And here's Mad Sweeney. So he goes over and he finds him. And Mad Sweeney is kind of fiending. He's like, I did something really bad. I need you to give me that coin back that I gave you. So he gave him a coin because he beat him in a fight, and he had to teach him how to take coins out of midair. So that's what he can do that because he's a leprechaun. So, he asks Shadow if he remembers. He says yes, and then you see here Laura, and you see a gold coin glowing in her chest, and that's because he threw the gold coin into her grave, and it ended up hitting her chest, and it sunk into her body, and it brought her back to life. So she's like this. This ghost, or not a ghost, but just a resurrected being that's just slowly decaying as she's trying to help Shadow out. She actually saves him from Mr. Wood and Mr. Stone. So anyways, we see Mad Sweeney talking about, you shouldn't trust Wednesday. Do you really know who that is? And Shadow's like, yeah, I think I do. And it's Grimnir, which is, Odin, right? So Mad Sweeney's like, I need to get that gold coin back. You weren't supposed to get that one. I was just supposed to get you a regular gold coin. That's the sun. That's really the sun that I gave you. So he asked him, I showed you how to do it. Do you remember how to do it? She's like, no, I don't remember how to do it. And he's like, well, dude, I need the coin back. Can you give it back to me? And Shadow's like, no, I don't have it. If I had it, I'd give it back to you. But he gave it away. So Mad Sweeney gets super mad because he gave it away for his own free will. So he can't just take it back and give it back to Mad Sweeney. The person has to give it back. But Laura has it now, and that's the only way she's living. So she's not giving that back. So Mad Sweeney's then like, can you just got a few bucks? It only takes $20. $20 will get me out of here. A ticket to get me out of here. And Shadow's like, why? How can $20 get you out of here? He's like, I could just, $20 will get me there. So he gives him $20, and Mad Sweeney's satisfied with that. We go back the next day, and we see the wake for Lila, the old lady that they picked up. She's not important, but it just moves the story along. So here we see Ibis, and he gets a phone call, right? So he gets a phone call, and they say, it's the police. They have a body to come pick up. So they get in the hearse, they drive down, and here you see Mad Sweeney. This is probably my panel pick because it's really cool here because it really hits home. He asked for $20 for a ticket to get him out of this place, and you see what that ticket was. It's a bottle of Jameson, and he ended up drinking himself to death and dying and into the frozen stuff there. And so he knows immediately who he is. So they load him up in the car. They have to set him up because he's all frozen, and they can't push him down. But while Shadow's driving, he starts hearing Mad Sweeney talk to him about what kind of wake that he wants and all this stuff. And Shadow's like, you're gonna get what you get. And he turns around to start talking to him, and he's just frozen there. So Shadow was just hearing this in his head. So they get there, and they put out 4 plates and a bottle of gold Jameson in the middle, and they're gonna give him a drunkard's wake. So they start drinking and eating, and then Ibis pulls out his book. So it's Ibis's job to record everybody's history in town. So that's he pretty much records their whole life. So that's what he goes through here. And this is a really cool shot here. I like this painting, and then they got this. This is what I was talking about, it being kind of beautiful and then rough as well. So you got the painting in the background with this rough sketch here. So anyways, you see he's talking about Mad Sweeney's life, how he began as a mound person, a leprechaun, right? So you see Mad Sweeney there hiding behind a rock, and he helps this girl out, and she remembers him, and she goes to the Americas from Ireland, and brings her belief with her, and starts spreading that belief and telling people about leprechauns and stuff, which migrates. It allows Mad Sweeney to be over in America now, right? Because people are starting to believe in leprechauns and all that stuff. And then they say that this is another really awesome picture here, the beautiful with the sketchy stuff. So we have he's talking about a tale where Spain coming over and pushing their, getting rid of all the trolls and bringing Christianity over, and now everything's just fairies. So all these fairies were just transforming all the gods into fairies and stuff, because people don't believe in gods anymore. Now they believe in saints and in dead kings and fairies and stuff like that. So really the gods changed, and the gods died and were replaced with other gods because people stopped believing in them. So what happened is they lost their clout over here, so those gods moved over to the Americas where they are getting believed in. And then the flashback is gone, and we see Mad Sweeney's here at the table, and he's having a drink, and he's asking Shadow if he knows how to pull the coins out of the air, because Shadow forgot because he was so drunk. And he said, he's going through all this stuff about, how to do magic tricks and stuff like that. And Mad Sweeney's like, no, it's none of those. And then Shadow's like, you just take them from the air, right? Is that how you do it? He's like, yep, you don't take them from the air, you take them from the horde. And here you see where Mad Sweeney is teaching Shadow again that in the rainbow you can just take the coins of the sun and pull them out from the rainbow. So that's how leprechauns get all their coins. They pull them from the horde, the cash inside of the rainbow. So that's the last thing that happens. Shadow wakes up, and he's hungover. He walks downstairs, and he sees Mad Sweeney is now laying down on the board, the table, and has the Jameson in his hands, and he is still dead. So Shadow comes up. He's gonna talk to Ibis and Jackal, and he gets upstairs, and they're nowhere to be found. But there's Wednesday. Here's Wednesday. We see Wednesday finally, and he's telling him, he's dead, and Wednesday already knows it. And Shadow asks where Ibis and Jackal are, and he said that, well, they're Barry and Lila. So they go, and Shadow says, we're leaving, and Wednesday's like, yep, let's get in the car, let's go. It's it's time to leave this place. And Shadow wants to tell him bye, and Wednesday's like, there's no need for goodbyes, you'll see him again soon enough. And they get in the car, and then the last panel here is a crow just flying, following them from this old tree. And that's it, guys. So this is a long one, but this is a long book. It's so good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get off here, but like, comment, subscribe. Definitely check this book out if you're looking for a good story. We'll see you next time. Be good to yourselves.